Good morning and welcome as we discuss another bird species on our segment, The Fascinating World of Birds. Today I'm joined with Chanith Wijeratna, a keen bird enthusiast, the editor of the Migraine Foundation and an aspiring medical student. Welcome, Chanith.
Well, thank you for having me again.
So Chanith, what bird species will we be discussing today, and can you give some characteristics about this particular species?
Today we'll be discussing a few very common birds you might have seen around: the welcome swallow, tree martin and fairy martin. All of these birds are very quick flyers. They're very small birds with dark blue upper sides and pale undersides. They can be often seen around waterways, hawking for insects, which is their main source of food.
I see. Now, whereabouts in Melbourne would you be able to find this bird species? You did mention that it was quite common to see these birds.
Yes, well, it differs a bit between the species. The tree and fairy martins are in fact both summer and spring migrants, not being present year-round. However, the welcome swallow is present pretty much everywhere year-round. Welcome swallows, it's almost harder to not see than it is to see. They're basically everywhere. Tree martins, on the other hand, are a bit more specific, liking areas of woodland. The appropriately named Woodlands Park is a particularly nice place to see them. Fairy martins, on the other hand, are often seen in the Geelong and Werribee areas, particularly around the Western Treatment Plant, where there are several sites where there are big communal nests, structures covered in them, nests made of a sort of mix of mud and feathers.
I see, that's remarkable. And what about the diet of these birds? Do they vary or are they similar?
Well, like I said, they're primarily all insectivores. They have a very interesting way of feeding. They like areas of water because obviously there's a lot of insects there, and they'll basically just fly forward, open their mouth really wide, and they have a particularly wide gape, and just aim themselves at an insect, so the insect goes right in.
For our keen bird enthusiasts at home who are more interested in finding out about these bird species, what type of resources would you recommend for them?
Well, I mentioned in one of our early episodes the immense value of having a field guide. This is particularly good here, because the martins and swallows are quite an easy trap for a novice to fall into, as they all look very similar. The trick here is to look at their tails and the rump in flight. The welcome swallow has a deeply forked tail, while both martins have squared off tails, and the fairy martin has a white rump. Additionally, the welcome swallow has a bright red throat, which is lacking in the fairy martin, which is pink-headed, and the tree martin, which has a much plainer head.
Well, thank you so much for sharing that information with us, Chanith. I'm sure our viewers at home learnt a lot from our segment today.
Oh, thank you for your kind words.
Join us again next week as we discover other bird species on the fascinating world of birds.